It's my name. Host Eric, or Puesto Enrico. And I'm the host of Talkiendo de Famoso de People Plays, or in English, Talking with Famous People. In Latin, it's called Talkatus Withicus Famicus Peopleicus. What am I getting out of the car? Right, the tripod. It'll hold my phone for me so that I don't have to do the heavy lifting myself. We've got one thing on the agenda today that's quick and easy. Hi there, Acacia. I dispute that. You did not say hi until you said hi, which is not the same as saying hi. You are a big fat liar, lying all of the time. This isn't your first time to hear it all. You're just a liar. First time higher. Oh, okay. I am so sick and tired of people always lying to me. I accept that kind of lie because it wasn't intended to deceive me. It's like a balk. They really shouldn't call it on a pitcher unless the pitcher's trying to deceive the runner. I'm making the legs longer. Alright, now you're a real daddy long legs. This is as tall as it goes. Still not tall enough for me. Tall enough for most people, I guess. There's lots of trouble. We can't go in that way. We're going to go back inside in a second, but we do have one thing that we must do today. It's on the do agenda. Let's put Drano in the bathtub at the other place. Since I brilliantly clogged the drain with hair when I poured all the carpet cleaning dirty water into the bathtub. Well, live and learn, live and learn. Next time I'll know to empty that shit outside. I got my glasses so I can read this just fine. You saw this short about the huge spike ball thing? Yeah, exactly, Acacia. That's what the realtor said. I'm fine, Ibrahim Kurd. Of course, you can still stay with us, Acacia. We just have to stay in the same house as us. It's a fairly roomy place, as you know. So we rarely go upstairs. You guys want to come visit and take up a couple rooms upstairs, that's fine. On my longer term agenda, I need to go over there and pressure wash the place. I may do that later this evening, I may not. I'm not feeling super motivated to do that, but I did successfully get a couple of black contractor bags taken to the dump today. Hello, Mark. Hello, 2009 ASIC. That's fine, Acacia. The offer stands. I'm not in Vietnam vet, no. I never served in the military. I was only 1 year old when Vietnam War was around. Maybe 2. White people stare a lot, I noticed. I mean, this would depend on the individual. I think how much you stare links to FE placement. Like, eye contact and staring and eye contact are different things, I guess. I think eye contact links to FE in some fashion. I had to kill a wasp this morning. It's waspitorium season again, and the wasps want to come put their waspitorium on our house. I don't want to call them wasps' nests. because it's too hard to say. So I just go with waskatorium. Oh, my boots. Right. I was thinking about putting these on before we go put the... I can't walk inside with those boots. Too bad they're all muddy. I could bring them in a bag with me, I guess. But I may end up doing a tiny bit of excavation today for the pond. I don't feel like... Well, I mean, I could probably do the rest of the digging of the main area anyway. And then I'm a little skittish about like starting the concreting phase, but I did bring that big square mirror over from the other house. I was thinking about making that the bottom of the main pool, of a mirrored bottom. It would get, quickly enough get covered over by dirt and such. But it's nice. It's like I'm unlikely to find a nice big square piece of rock that size. So maybe I could just use the mirror. I could even put the reflective face down if I wanted to.
You could.
Say hi to the Grim Reaper, Grandpa. Are you the Grim Reaper, Heroine Dragona? I think all humans are capable of using a stare to intimidate. Maybe, but I think that often. Staring at girls is different. That if somebody's staring at girls, it's indicative that they have a challenging relationship with dating area stuff in general, because they're aware that their stare is going to make the woman feel uncomfortable, and they're doing it anyway. So that just means they're incels. She looks amazing. Who? Or she looks amazing. If she's staring too, fine. That's fine. I'm just saying, if somebody's staring at a woman with the awareness that their stare is making her uncomfortable, or with the intent to make her uncomfortable, then that's a behavior that typifies, people who have a lot of trouble engaging with the opposite sex, right? Here's my wife. She's right there. Her name's Rachel, and she's the only woman I stare at.
Thanks. Oh man, that was sweet. I feel so insecure.
I don't look at other chicks. I have no need to or interest in them. They sell their own brand to rest of states called Seneca. Yeah, I had a Seneca. Cameron brought a pack of Senecas up when he came to visit. I had one. Wasn't too bad for a cheap cigarette. It wasn't no Marlboro Red, but I do need to get it. I need to cut my hair. I'm looking very shagaggery. You know how important it is for me to look sharp, on point, responsible, like the kind of guy you'd hire to do your taxes. No, I'm not Walter White. Just because I'm in my 50s and have a beard doesn't mean I'm Walter White. Good enough. Yeah, I'm familiar with who plays Walter White. I did watch all of Breaking Bad. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It doesn't rewatch well, though. I should say that. I'm going to make myself a cup of covfefe. And then I think we need to, before we do anything like working stuff, I need to make some food. And I'm inclined to make some on the barbecue outside. So I think what we'll go with is sausage sandwiches today. And I have a pack of sausages right here. Or you make 3, one for Rachel, one for me, and one for later. Or I can make 4 One for Rachel. Now, one for Rachel. Do you want a sausage sandwich, Rachel? She might not be hungry. She took half an Adderall to counter a dopamine crash.
Not good.
Okay.
What is that?
What? This is, the lamp got a little bit damaged, so hopefully it'll stop flickering. Ooh, that's hot. There's an incandescent bulb. It wasn't even on for very long. Wow, it's freaking hot. I didn't quite burn myself, it's fine. Everybody can stop panicking now. Let's get a fridge tour. Sure, I'll give you a fridge tour. Hold on, 500,000 cigarettes? 600 cigarettes? There's a big difference between 600 and 500,000. Are you offering me cigarettes? I'll take the 500,000. I'm not sure I'm going to need that many, but if I do, it'd be good to have them. As long as they're Marlboro Reds. I don't want to smoke your 500,000 cigarettes as they're Senecas. Cute ant dance. Husha-ha-ha-ha. Husha-ha-ha-ha. My or not, you back. Hi, Vico. Fridge tour. My or not. Oh, that's who you're talking to. I see. Do a flip. I can't do a flip. I can't do a fridge tour. We've got, well, I mean, Rachel didn't even touch your sandwich yesterday. She just eat that. Maybe. I'll throw away this other thing of Rachel's leftovers because they're too old. I mean, they're still fine. I just eat this. I don't need to make anything, actually. I have plenty of food here. I'm just being silly. Yes. Oh, I see. Pretty. Master. Right, fridge tour. We've got your leftover sandwich. Your leftover from there. Leftover tomato soup. A peach tea Rachel didn't open. These are marijuana teas. These are non-alcoholic beer. The currants are another drink we have. There's some leftovers that probably need to go into the trash. Is this ball of leftovers, you done with it, Rachel? Oh, she's gone. I don't know where she went. And here we have potatoes. Here we have carrots and a couple of very old grapefruits that are still seem to be fine. Here we have little cheeses. Most of our food, we try to keep it in the. And we have 11 marijuana pizza. Most of the food we eat, we keep in the freezer here. As per yeah. Yeah, just we got like 6 of these. The chicken pot pies. Italian foods. French bread pizza, sausage rolls, hamburger buns, hamburger patties, frozen chickens, bacon, pack of sausages, hamburger meat, a loaf of sourdough bread that I didn't pull out. Hi, Jonathan Carpenter. I'm doing fine. I was giving a refrigerator tour. Yeah, I don't drink alcohol. I do drink liquids, though. You're way paler, though. Than I am, though. I'm really tan skin. My skin color changes all the time. Only that's true for only some things here, Lamb. Like the Italian foods. I find they are the same in the microwave or the oven, but the French bread pizzas have to go in the oven. So I went and got the drapery hardware for the putting up the drapes to the other house. I think in an ideal dream world, I go over there shortly, put Drano in, and maybe install one drapes hardware while I'm at it. Those drape hardwares are expensive because I got the sturdy ones and it's like 12 because the drapes are kind of heavy, you know. It's like $12 a pop for the drape hardwares. So, you know, I want to get those things. I want that house to stop costing me money now at this point. So I need to get those drapes installed. Chloe's available. She can show it any time, obviously, but I'd like it to be. I'd like to finish a couple of things I didn't get finished before she does, so that it looks as nice as it can, and we have the biggest chance possible to sell it, which is just common sense, I suppose.
Did the photographer guy get back to you on the charger?
Yeah, I said to him when I sent him a text that I could give it to Zoe next time I see her if he wants, or he could come pick it up, or I could, yeah. And he said to give it to Zoe.
Okay.
So, do you and Ruben speak Spanish to each other? Acacia doesn't speak any Spanish, and Ruben only speaks a spattering of Spanish. You can say piñata, you can say agua, that's it.
That is funny.
Hi, Sal PDR, welcome back. Hi D2, I thought that was an X-Wing on his hat. Now this is an airplane. I got this hat at a local store here. I'm not one of the Bee Gees. I don't sing that high. I'm just one of me, Eric. The one and only Eric. No, there are no more Erics besides me in the whole world. When I run into Latinos, they assume I'm one of them too, until I tell them that I'm native. Well, you could still potentially learn to speak Spanish. Can you sing Jive Talking, please? I don't know what Jive Talking is. Is it a song? I'm not familiar with it. Must be a song. Like, Jive Talking confuses me. I need you to talk to me all jive free. Like that. What state is it? California. The state that, as many of you may know, knows how to party. Jive walking. I mean, I would do some jive walking for you, but I have a coffee in my hand. I have a coffee in my hand and a cigarette in my heart. I just have to find where the cigarettes are. I found them. Using the power of robotics. No, I didn't misplace my heart. I know where it is. It's right here. Right here. Apparently it's a little bit over to the left, maybe? I don't know. Or maybe it's a little over to the right. But my heart is special, okay? My heart has the maximum amount of tenderness that a heart can have inside of it. So they call me the tender-hearted miracle. Who calls me that? Tenderness scholars. Tenderness scholars call me that. They say, you, sir, are the tender-hearted miracle that we've all been waiting for. Acacia, are you suggesting my heart, instead of being tender, is tough? I don't think so. I am a very sensitive boy. I really am. It's just, I don't necessarily always come across like that. But yeah, I think you're faking being sensitive, Acacia. That's what I think. I think you're faking being tender. And really, you're harsh. Harsh as bag of hydrochloric acid. I think it was about you that Hall & Oates wrote that song Man Eater. Hi, Carlos Paiva. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I appreciated your comment on the appeal to authority video where you said, well, but if he's not going to argue it, why is he arguing it? You know? Well, the answer is because he's using that. And I answered because he's using his heuristic to determine what's correct, not deliberation. So what Carlos revealed in that comment was that he understands what deliberation is and can't understand why that guy is not using it. Probably because he's an interface type of some sort. Not that there's anything wrong with interface types. Interfacing is a good way to go about life. If you want to suck, Eric, no, not if you want to suck. I could go there. I've been kind of scouting out my pond layout here. Like, I know that I might go a little bit more this way on this hole down here, but a little bit more this way, but then I'll need to come up a little bit more this way so I can fit the bottom of the thing in, which is over there. I'm just going to use that mirror as the bottom. I don't have to use that mirror as the bottom, though. I could just use these stones. Maybe that would be better. It would be uniform that way. Then I'm going to bring the pumped water up to here, where it will come along here, and then like drop into a little pool right there, and come along there, and then drop into that pool there. Then round and round it goes. That is the plan. I like those pretty orange flowers on the hill. I just want to water the hill so that more flowers come out. It's a gorgeous day. It's a wonderful day. It's like the perfect temperature. This is the temperature and general quality of air and light and stuff that they had in the Garden of Eden. There aren't even any annoying bugs around right now. If it were always like this on Naked and Afraid, it wouldn't be that challenging. You still have to worry about your feet and stuff, but temperature-wise, you'd be comfortable. I bet it's like exactly 70 degrees. If it were a degree colder, you'd feel a little chilly. If it were a degree warmer, you'd feel a little bit too warm, maybe. Maybe 71 degrees. Let's go inside and see what the temperature actually is. What's that noise? Hi, it's Steve. Oh my God, Steve's here? Oh, I see. It's from the dryer. Why do we repent knowing we will sin again? Because even though we know we will sin again, it doesn't mean that we can't get better at it, right? Like, we can go from bigger, the computer says 70 degrees exactly. I was exactly right. Because even though we're not perfect and we make mistakes and sometimes overtly violate the rights of others, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't get another chance, right? Life is like baseball. Let's pretend baseball were like this. Errors, hitting into double plays, and strikeouts are sins. And you're a baseball player. The best you can do is try to minimize the amount of double plays, strikeouts, and errors. And ideally, if you're a good person and trying to get more wise and better and live more wisely and intelligently, because you incur all the harm from every wrongdoing you do, the karma will catch up to you, if only in your own dissatisfaction with yourself. As I experienced after my parents' death, I went through a lot of processing. I processed not just shit regarding my parents, but stuff from a long time ago, you know. And most of what I was processing was sins, my failures to be a good person in a variety of ways, that somehow I hadn't incurred any consequences from, including internally. And so I had to do the time, I did those crimes, I had to do the time. But we repent and seek forgiveness because, number one, we can't go through life expecting ourselves to be perfect, and we can expect ourselves to be accountable. So to seek forgiveness is also to acknowledge that you've done a wrong. We need to be able and willing to absolve ourselves. Some people may absolve themselves too easily, but if you're like me, you have trouble forgiving yourself for memories of your own past bad behavior, be it social awkwardness, and that's like, unless forgiving, not so much I'm mad at myself, but it makes me super like cringy, shame shivers, right? So depending on where in your attentional habits, where lies your own personal experience and memories, it's going to have something to do with your relationship with that. Such that, for me, I didn't process those memories sooner because I was able not to because of my weak SI. They still needed to be processed eventually. There are some people who might take solace in the fact that you can do good things too. It's not just possible to avoid doing bad things. You can also do good things. I'm not super concerned about the good things I do because I understand that positives are not a equal and equivalent opposite to negatives. To commit a sin is to violate the rights of another or reasonable expectations thereof from your words, and that's not okay, even if you give give. It's not okay for you to assault somebody, even if afterwards you go to give money to a charity or something, right? Accordingly, even though I think I've had plenty of positive impacts in the world, I don't consider those when making my moral calculations or my calculations regarding myself very much, because it doesn't matter. You know, positive moral indications aren't universalizable. Well, I don't think it's about forgetting. You know, I've come to forgive myself after a solid couple of years of depression and self hatred after my parents' death. I've come to forgive myself for some of the shortcomings I have exhibited over the course of my life, either from a long time ago, from when I was like 20, or from when I was 10 or whatever, or more recently during my last years of my parents' lives, in which my mom had increasingly debilitating dementia and my dad um, had lost his wife, basically. Well, here, the thing is, I didn't focus on processing the past. Instead, what I did was be confused about what was happening to me. I thought, why can't I play? I seem to have forgotten how to play. Why? What's wrong with me? You know, like Adderall doesn't seem to work anymore. I take it, but I don't do anything. I just watch TV. What's going on? Well, what was going on was I was depressed. And I was depressed because I needed to, whether I chose to or not, process the facts of my life in a more thoughtful fashion than I had theretofore. So it wasn't like an intended thing that I did. I didn't purposely process anything. Most people don't have a very controlled relationship with their SI. What you're exhibiting there, Hierolam, is countervalued SI. You can see the harms of it, but if it's conscious, it's not something you can mitigate because it's a knowledge function. It's instantaneous and it's it's triggered by associative triggers that, without any care to relevance, right? So if I had been subject to a terrible crime for somebody criminalized me, victimized me with a pineapple, then I'm gonna remember that every time anything Hawaii pineapple related or anything that looks like a pineapple or whatever, I'm gonna link back to that memory, even though Hawaii has nothing to do with what happened to me. Pineapples have nothing to do with what happened to me. It just happened to be the thing that was used to bash me over the head with or whatever. So for SI people, front stack, there's zero opportunity to choose to remember things that are relevant. Yeah, like me bullying some kid in middle school is not relevant to anything anymore. But for some SI heavy person, they'd say, well, it is relevant because it helps you understand who you are and why you are the way you are. Those those failures were learning opportunities, etc. Nice pota. What's a pota? Oh, pouch. Nice pouch. Where's my pouch? I don't have a pouch. I'm pouch free. What draws the line of a sin being repentable? I mean, I think all sins are repentable, but not all sins are forgivable, and not all sins are able to be. You can't always make amends for a sin. So, like, I'm going to assume that Jesus knows how and why to forgive the serial killer. I don't have to forgive him myself. So it's unfair to who I am now. Well, you're not you're. It's only unfair to who I am now if I didn't fairly accept the negative self-concept that goes along with it. Then, I mean, look, we as a society have an appropriately retributive focused criminal justice system. We don't need to prove any positive outcomes from punishing somebody for violating rights because it's retributive. The positive outcomes, it restores things to equilibrium. And that's how it should be. But I'm talking about the difference between, say, one's spiritual understanding of things versus, or religious or whatever, versus how it ought to be in a free and secular society. It ought to be that that if you violate somebody's rights, you incur the consequences. Yeah, that's fine. I don't care. There's not even any bugs coming in right now. You feel like the fountain may be too much? Am I missing something here? But if you process the sin, that taking advantage of resentment. Well, it's true that you can change, right? You can change how you perceive the past and how you will use it to navigate the future. That's quite possibly the case, D2. But I mean, everybody can repent, right? Whether or not their penance, let's say the stuff that they do in the act of repenting, whether or not that remedies the liability they incurred is a separate question. You know, it's like depends on how someone's wronged me as to whether I'm willing to forgive them. So I have a couple of persona non grata around talking with famous people because they harmed the channel in ways that I found I was not willing to forgive. Chloe and Courtney come to mind as two people who harmed the TWFP, the whole package, the whole TWFP empire, including the other channels, TWFP Raw channels. Chloe and Chloe did a lot of damage, but she got the Raw channel deleted by YouTube for copyright violations, despite me trying to correct her on it multiple times. And Courtney had, back in the day when I was not very security minded at all, had access to the back end and started deleting a bunch of my videos out of spite one day when she was mad at me. So they're persona non grata. I don't care how much they apologize. I don't accept their apology. They can go fuck themselves. If they want somebody to forgive them, they should turn to Jesus. He's more understanding than me. Man, I really don't like Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. If I were to see them in public, I'd yell, "You rapist supporting shitbags! You fucking disgust me." And that's something neither of them can possibly dispute, that they're rapist supporting shitbags. It's not like anybody could accuse me of slandering them in any way, shape, or form, because we have, as evidence, the letter they wrote to a judge asking him to have leniency for their serial rapist friend. I saw a picture of him in that baseball video, and that's what made me think of them and make me mad. Yeah, Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher, their friend Danny Masterson, who was a serial rapist who would use drugs to make women unconscious and then rape them, or limited consciousness, I guess you should say. He went on trial, was found guilty, convicted of the most serious rape charges you can imagine. And Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis wrote a letter to the judge saying how what a wonderful guy he was, and that it would be a tertiary injustice were he to be sentenced with a serious sentence. They hoped the judge would not release that letter, but the judge did, and now they can no longer claim to be the things that they are. So good. Those two can go fuck themselves. Hey, how you doing? Let me look at my glasses so I can see. Hi, Moko Bandit. New TI question just dropped. Asking him to identify how the set of half-brothers and the set of step-brothers interact. Inclusion, exclusion, non-trivial overlap. I mean, what makes it non-trivial? Like, there is some overlap, obviously, that such that, you know, Joe and Mary had son Abe. Then Joe married Julie. Mary went away. And Julie brought with her Bob and then had with this guy Charlie. So A, B, and C, right? A is Joe's kid. B is Julie's kid. And C is both Julie and Joe's kid. So the set of half brothers and step brothers do overlap, but I don't understand what makes it non-trivial. Sniss it now. Sniss your screen. I don't know what that means. Are you asking me for a tub of... Non-trivial just means it's not one of the edge cases, i.e. neither is a subset of the other, and also they are not exclusive. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, stepbrothers is not a subset of half-brothers or brothers. Neither is half-brother a subset of brothers or stepbrothers. So, I guess the answer to the question is non-trivial overlap. That's what I pick on the multiple choice test. Ukraine shirt? I don't have a Ukraine shirt. If I had a Ukraine shirt, I would have no problem wearing it. I can tell all the dumbass partisans exactly who we should back up, for whom we should provide reassurance, backup, support, military assistance, even use of force in defense of. And that's both Ukraine and Taiwan. And it's not because I'm a warmonger or anything, right? We have this big history of conflicts now to look at. World War II, people were happy when we came in because we were actually liberating them to be their own country. Like Taiwan, right? Or Ukraine. When we go to Vietnam, those people want to be commies. We're trying to stop them from being what they want to be. Disaster. Korea worked out fine, but in the South, but should we have been in there? In the Korea is a questionable one, you know. But then you look at the Gulf War. The first one, we go liberate Kuwait, everybody's thrilled. And then we go attack countries for no reason, and what happens? Disaster. So we need to just be intelligent about things, right? To evaluate a given circumstance, not as an example of a holistic rule regarding use of force. As a nation state, we cannot operate under such a rule. We have to determine whether an instance comprises an example of just war or not, as well as considering our interests. It is both just and in our interest to defend Ukraine and Taiwan from the aggression of non-free, non-civil societies. Russia exemplifying an authoritarian regime without an ideology and is less, in general, bad, I guess, to its own citizens than China, which is still holding on to the justification of some overarching ideology, even though they no longer live according to it. Being intelligent is not good policy, most because it won't happen. Well, if I was president, I would. You know. Although I was saying to Rachel earlier, and I'll say now as well. Yeah, I know. China's very much non-ideological, but what they also are is authoritarian. So I coached a debate in China, and I understand how it works. And you watch their cartoons and stuff, you see the lack of things that link to rights and liberty and stuff like that. Freedom of speech, etc., is entirely excised from their cultural narratives. They never were communist per se, but they still have this thing where the government feels like it has to provide jobs for everybody. That's why you have so many things overstaffed in China. I mean, but that's not a practical way to go about business, no matter how you cut it, Carlos. You don't need six people standing at the look at the bag as you go through um, the X-ray machine at the subway entrance. You know. Hi, Lenny. How's Germany doing? Just a matter of time. Holds the switch. What switch? What we all need to do is invest in Spring. Spring is the all new, all natural, vegan, real only substitute to natural sperm whale semen. Sorry, maybe sperm whale sperm. It's not actually sperm, you know. The oil that comes out of a sperm whale, it has the same general feel of semen, but it actually has no relationship whatsoever to sperm. It's just that's what they called it back in the day because they were like, well, it looks like sperm to me. The Red Army was the primary reason the Nazis fell. Yeah, well, I mean, you could say the primary reason was Hitler insisted on invading Russia. If he had not done so, he would have had that entire army at his disposal. But, you know, the main reason the Nazis fell is because they lost the air war. If you wanted to pick one single reason, you'd say when they had air supremacy, they wasted it on something that was not really in Germany's large-scale plans, which was invading Britain. Because after Germany conquered Poland and France and stuff, they offered England a deal. They said, we won't touch you or any of your imperial colonies and stuff if you don't bother us in Europe. Which Hitler had gone into the invasion of France assuming that was going to work. That the Brits were going to say, like, okay, fine. We give up in Europe. You take Europe, we'll take the rest of the world. Didn't work out that way because Churchill fucking hated Hitler and the Nazis appropriately. And so he's like, hell no, motherfucker. We're not going to just say, all right, you win. Then Hitler wasted a bunch of airplanes trying to attack Britain from the air with a bunch of daylight attacks. Lost a shit ton of planes in the process because Britain wouldn't go sally forth to meet them across the channel. They'd wait till they were over the home island. So then they transitioned to night attacks. It was still a waste of air power. They were never going to knock Britain into submission. As soon as Britain disagreed with that offer by Hitler should have just turned his attention to fortifying and not proceeded with Operation Sea Lion, I believe it was called. In German, I'm sure, but you're from Russia? Welcome. I've been to Russia. I've been to Moscow and I've been to St. Petersburg. Who pulled the parachute stunt? I don't know what that is.
Why are you yelling? Yeah.
I mean, I do think the Chinese are very practically minded, Carlos. It's just that they can't be effectively practical because they still have the mechanism of centralized control. So it's like the central government will tell the regional governor, this is your plan for economics. You need to show this much growth in the GDP of your region, let's say, by this date in the future. And so that's why you have all those pointless construction projects going on in China, where they build up all these skyscrapers that nobody ends up living in. Then the regional governor meets their benchmark that they're supposed to meet, and a bunch of time and money and effort has been wasted. I mean, it's bad to do that, Carlos Paiva. There's nothing the government can do to force growth. It needs to occur in the private sector. Rudolph flew a Messerschmitt Bf-110 from Germany and landed by parachute in Scotland, believing he was on a mission to negotiate peace. Yeah, I believe that as well, Carlos. I think that China is doing an excellent job of exploiting resources in Africa and other places like that. Have I been to Yucatan? No. I'm from the United States of America. So it's like the Chinese take advantage are taking advantage of their lack of scruples, and the lack of transparent legal system, etc., to maximally exploit African resources more so than the West is doing, right? Do I support Trump? Well, I didn't vote for him, and I always and only support good ideas, good policies, right? Like, there's no reason to support people because people are the kind of thing that you either trust them or you don't. So, like in this last election, I trusted Trump to be Trump and do what he says and not censor himself at all. But I also understand that he's a fucking complete moron, right? He's a tard. So I wasn't going to vote for him. Nobody should have trusted Kamala Harris at all because she had no intuition and no regard for the truth. So I wasn't going to vote for her either, so I just didn't vote. Learning to mitigate decision making in the lower part of the hierarchy. I will be good. I hope I will be good too. I am good now. I hope I will try to be as good as possible going forward. But regardless, it is the case that the United States should be actively partnering with Taiwan to prevent Chinese takeover. We have to concede the Hong Kong thing. Obviously, the British should never have signed that deal where they promised it to the Chinese in 2001. But accordingly, since they did, we can't conceivably try to re excise, get Hong Kong out of China's hands. China wins the argument, whereas with Taiwan, China does not win the argument at all. If they want one China, then Taiwan should rule one China, not the PRC. PRC can go fuck itself. When Newsom gets his term, that will be the end of times. Newsom's not going to get elected to president. That's what you're worried about. He's such a fucking dumbass weakling. Quit playing cop. How is the Taiwan the U.S.'s business? How is Taiwan China's business? The nationalist government, the proper government of China, which never conceded that the PRC was in charge at all, simply walked out of the UN when the UN allowed the PRC to be in the UN. The nationalist government in Taiwan has never conceded that the PRC is the rightful government over mainland China. And in my mind, it's Taiwanese government that's the rightful government in China. So why don't you scold China for it not being their business and they need to leave Taiwan alone? How about that? How about that, you and your shitty politics? Gee. I was seeing the other day, I saw a headline talking about how people with authoritarian attitudes display some brain characteristics consistent with brain damage. Made me immediately think of G. His weird Trump-loving ways that can only be explained as brain damage. Keep in mind, you're talking to somebody who's not at all giving Trump an unfair shake here. I acknowledge that I mean I didn't even read the article. I just saw the headline. But I was saying to Rachel earlier, like I'm bad at predicting the outcome of Trump's actions. I can think of multiple instances. Well, I mean, you favor Putin for fuck's sake. Forget about Trump. Gee, you may not have said something right now about him, but you've said myriad things about him in many different streams. So why don't you take your bullshit and shove it in your mouth? Our most powerful weapon is our devices. I'm pretty sure our most powerful weapon is nuclear weapons. There's not enough water in this. Let's put more water in the bowl. I blame G. I mean, I think it was easy enough to predict a tariff policy because if you remember, in his first term, Trump wanted to start a trade war with China. But what I find strange is I can't predict the outcomes very well. For example, I guess Rachel was telling me in response to the tariff, Chinese manufacturing concerns have been spilling the secrets of luxury brands, saying like, you know, your Prada whatever that costs $1,000, it's actually made in China. And according to Rachel, the prices of certain kinds of luxury items that are just made in China, instead of going up, is going way down. So that's what I mean by not being able to predict the impact of these policies very well. I thought the trade war against China thing was a terrible idea in the first term, and it worked out just fine. So, you know, sometimes you got to give an SE Dom their due, I guess. I mean, you might say that, Winston Baum, but I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out not to be a mistake as a negotiating tactic, just as it wasn't during his first term. But look, I'm not here to praise Trump. I'm here to bury him. But regardless, let's be fair. That's the most important thing. Is to just evaluate things on their merits and not on what you want or what you thought before. Well, I don't doubt that Trump is going to find ways to personally benefit and inappropriately from his time in public service because he's that kind of asshole, you know? So the thing is, no, I'm not invested in crypto. In fact, I just closed my Coinbase account because I was paying $29.99 a month for no reason. Never used it. Peace Nobel Prize is a war crimes Nobel. I don't know if it's a war crimes Nobel, but they said you could say that the Nobel Peace Prize is aspirational. It hopes to encourage the person it gives it to live up to the title. But you know, well, Carlos, we'll have to see how shit plays out over time. It's too hard to say right now what's going to happen. Like the markets took a dive, then they bounced back. We just have to wait and see. It is the case that Trump seems like a staunchly anti-war president, which is kind of odd. You know, it's not what the vibe you get from him. I guess that's isolation. That's one element of isolationism is that you don't want to become involved in foreign wars, just like the Constitution says. Well, see, that's my hypocrisy. If we're going to have a standing army, if we're not going to get involved in foreign wars, then let's not have a standing army like the Constitution says. If we're going to have a standing army and justify it by the world's changed, we need that, then let's use it correctly, not for wrong reasons. How old am I? I'm 53. Hello, my boss sent me here for negotiation. For negation. What are you negating? My position on Taiwan and China? Go ahead, negate all you want. I nevertheless assert that my resolution that I'm affirming is the United States government, the United States should provide military support to Taiwan to defend it against China's annexing qualities. Well, he certainly is against helping Ukraine and Taiwan. So I'd point out, Winston Baum, that Greenland doesn't have a military. There's nothing to fight against. I'm with you. I'm a big believer in the efficacy of the State Department, but I can see how other countries would not be a believer in it because we haven't had reliably consistent um, vision for the country or the world, and yet are acting as though we do every time a new president comes in. And but Trump's the worst regarding that. It's like Trump doesn't care at all how much we default on previous promises and stuff. God damn it. Can't seem to hit the sweet spot in terms of water. Wars are scams. They're laundering money, tearing families apart, and killing people. Well, not all wars are scams, right? Sometimes it's necessary to use of force. If somebody were invading your country with soldiers with guns, you want your country to have soldiers with guns to push them back, right? Well, yeah, and you tell me, do you want peace? Then you agree that you'd be fine with just the U.S. sending our forces in to take over your country, right? If you're not okay with that, then you don't want peace at any cost. And you shouldn't. Nobody should. Obviously, peace is desirable, but if nobody should be willing to sacrifice a free and civil society for peace. Individual rights are what have resulted in everything good in the history of humankind. And it's not surprising that some Chinese person is here trying to argue against me because they're they're absolutely in lockstep regarding their perspective on China, which is a Chinese national is not going to criticize their own government at all. In contrast, I criticize my government plenty because I'm positioning what's correct as desirable rather than what's in my interest. If you like peace, then encourage Taiwan to manifest its destiny as its own nation under its own government. After all, the government of Taiwan is not and never was the PRC government. And yet the PRC wants to have dramatically more influence in Taiwan's affairs, even though they're a totally foreign country. They want them to be called Chinese Taipei, etc. Not under a Strauss administration will we tolerate that shit. No fucking way. We support individual rights and individualism across the board. There's no good reason to support communitarian policies that only end up violating the rights of the entire population of China has their rights violated all the time. They can't talk about they can't surf the internet freely. That's not okay, right? There's nothing good about that. That country should not rule anybody. If they're so scared of the truth that they want to censor true things so that their population can't find out about it, then they have no business ruling anybody. They're just a bunch of shitbags, right? Israel is not controlling the U.S. because you'll notice I'm a U.S. citizen and I'm talking shit about multiple things, the U.S., China, etc. I'm fully informed. I have access to all the information. Chinese nationals do not. They have access to information the Chinese government wants them to access. So yeah, the Chinese government, the PRC, has no business ruling anybody. They've demonstrated a total disregard for environmental concerns. So you can't drink the water in China without getting heavy metal poisoning. They've demonstrated a total disregard for air pollution. So you can't breathe the air in Shanghai or Beijing for very long without needing an oxygen tank practically. I mean, should I go on? They've got cities full of empty skyscrapers because they don't believe in actual economics. They think they can fake it. Should I go on? They're acting like a colonial power in Africa, exploiting all their resources with no regard for the population whatsoever. Should I go on? China sucks ass. Don't ever forget it. Nobody wants China to rule them. When I lived in one of the nicest apartments in Shanghai in the expat section where everybody's got freaking BMWs and Mercedes parked there was a gap between the door and the door frame like 1.5 inches so that cold air constantly blew in. The mattress that the thing came equipped with was unbearable. You could not sleep on it. It was worse than sleeping on rocks on the ground. Everything about China is just like shittiness. Uh, everybody in Shanghai constantly honk their horns, even though it never does any good. When I was in Shanghai, keep in mind the most like westernized, advanced city in China. I saw them working on the electrical lines. Two guys were holding the ladder up off the ground, and the third guy was on top of it trying to fix the fucking thing. You want to talk about third world bullshit? When I was walking down the sidewalk, you see like a mother put her child in front of you on the sidewalk to take a shit on the sidewalk, on a bag on the sidewalk. It's like, okay, this is not right. If you want to know how do they clean the streets in Shanghai in the morning? Oh, I'm sure they have a street sweeper machine, right? No, a bunch of old ladies with a cart and a broom and a dustpan. Why? Because give them all spoons. Everybody has to have a job, and the Chinese government thinks it's responsible to provide everybody a job. Well, that's a good way to destroy civilization. It's just plain stupid and unacceptable. Communitarianism is wicked and it results in almost all the evils of the world. In contrast, Taiwan is wonderful, civilized. The hotel I stayed at was lovely. The people were all, normal kind of Western style people who do jobs that actually mean something rather than just stand there and be unwilling to make any decisions because they've been trained since birth to follow orders from above at all costs. you know, it's about time we all wake up and acknowledge the truth. China is a fucked up, non-free, non-civil society. Taiwan's fantastic. We should protect them. We have the power to do so. Why have a military that spends 10 times as much as all the other countries in the world? If you're not going to use it to preserve a free and civil society, there's no fucking reason to have it at all. It wouldn't shock me if someone in the Chinese government actually sent this person to negate what I was saying. Of course, they have nobody who's even remotely capable of doing so because they don't allow free thinking. The debate topics have to, and when I worked in China, had to be just all super sanitized. Nothing could reference rights or individualism at all. You can't even do any kind of normative framework without a rights framework, so that just goes to show you how fucking handicapped China is in its entire populace, right? If you can't use a rights calculus, you can't be correct about things that require legitimacy first. You're fundamentally designed to be wicked. You've cut off your conscience by eliminating individual rights as a possible framework to understand things through. I don't want to invade China, right? I want China to get the fuck out of Taiwan and get their hands off of Taiwan. They're not Chinese Taipei, that's Taiwan. Nobody's saying let's invade China, for God's sakes. I don't think we should invade Russia either. I think we should have our military on the ground to help Ukraine as needed to make sure that Putin understands, no, motherfucker, you're not going to have this war of aggression and annex an ally of ours. No, you're not. Sorry. Equivalently, we should have like boats around Taiwan to blockade it if need be until China acknowledges their sovereignty as an independent country. I don't want to initiate aggression with anybody. But I also don't want to be well armed and have a robber come into my house and then just pussyfoot around deciding what to do. Should I talk to him? No, just let him steal the stuff. It's like if you're gonna be super well armed, then shoot when appropriate. Well, I wouldn't get involved in a civil war, right? Because that's not a war of aggression by one authoritarian state attempting to conquer a third party, right? And Ukraine may not be the ideal ally or the most stable ally in the world, but they prioritize Western kind of society much more so than Russia does. Regardless, even if they weren't our ally, that comprises a a clear and distinct set of a clear and distinct example of authoritarian aggression. So that would be justified for us to defend that country's sovereignty. There's no way Putin should have annexed any of Ukraine. We should never have allowed that to happen, except we have weak ass leaders. I don't know if you remember that engaged girl I was talking to, but I gotta run. Sorry. Okay, see you later, Henry O'Manley. Don't talk to engaged girls. The girl broke up with him, and I'll probably be moving in with her. Did she break up with him after she had sex with you? If so, she cheated on him, and you should not get with her. Because she'll cheat on you too. Okay, well, Carlos, you believe some Russian propaganda. The fact is, even in the two regions which actually have a substantial enough Russian minority for that potentially to be the case, Donetsk and Luhansk, the actual, unrest was generated entirely by Russian agents who were in civilian clothes. So don't believe Putin's bullshit for a second. Well, regardless, based on everything in the status quo, it is nevertheless correct that the United States defend Ukraine against Russian aggression, as we promised to do in the Minsk protocols when Ukraine gave up its nuclear weapons. So, even no matter what, I'm correct, because I've got many layers of defensive correctness against any special pleading arguments you might present. So you're just going to have to concede that point that I'm correct. I'm not saying it's not a little bit complicated. Things sometimes are a little bit complicated. I'm just saying the United States should make clear this is who we are, this is what we will do, provided MEA happens, and follow through on that. And try to sustain the idea of the United States as a bastion of and defender of a free and civil society. We need to maintain that across presidential elections. We need to remember who we are. We need to remember Eisenhower. Eisenhower understood American values, and he promoted them, made sure they were... He basically, Eisenhower / Truman / MacArthur created Japan and South Korea, the absolute jewels of Asia, and the only truly free and civil societies in Asia. Somebody's got to defend the free world. It's never in anyone's interest to defend someone else's rights, to say things that the first person don't like, for example. But that's what true statesmen and true leaders do. They do the correct thing, and they know it's correct because it wins the argument. People who are expediency minded like Trump, they don't care about legitimacies. So they think the best thing that can happen is for them to do what they feel like, regardless of other things. But if your deliberative adequately and appropriately for public policy, then you understand the following rule. If a thing's worth doing illegitimately, it's worth finding a way to do it legitimately. And you're just being lazy and presenting this rights violating thing under the justification that it'll have good impacts. I don't believe in your impact prediction abilities, and nobody else should either. Let me go get the trash cans. That's tilty. Still a little tilty. There. Like, people who present plans, advocacies, do harm to certain parties, in other words, concentrated harm in expectation of diffuse good, they want to be able to get what they want to happen without having to be legitimate. There's no good way to violate people's rights. And, a good way to explain it to everybody so that even the people who are, obsessed with government spending as a solution to things can get it, is to point out that if somebody in Congress floated a bill that said, listen, we need this many $1 billion for cancer research. But instead of raising taxes or borrowing the money, I want us to simply seize that amount from Bill Gates. Well, the thing is, nobody should be in favor of that idea, right? Because if the group can just seize his money, they can just seize yours too. And if, in fact, that's permitted, then there's nothing stopping the government from seizing all your property as well. Saying, well, look, we need $5 trillion from you, so let's just seize all the personal property in this section of land in the state of California. Why not? If they can do the former, why can't they do the latter? So the thing is, even the worst kind of communitarians seem to agree in America that if the government's going to get money, they have to get it in some tax way. They can't single out a particular person. So they have to say, okay, well, for people who have this much money, their income tax rate is 99%. But of course, those people aren't necessarily getting income. They've got things set up in terms of investments, and they have money in the bank that's not income that they can live off of. So you're not going to get any more money out of them. And so then you create a class of people who, as soon as you get a certain amount of richness, you have to structure your wealth so that the government can't get it. And then who bears the brunt of the taxes? Just regular people. That's the unintended consequence of trying to violate the core American value that we are all equal under the law. That you shouldn't be able to be singled out for extra taxes because you smoke, or because you're rich, or because whatever, or because you're single, Progressive taxation, the federal tax code, is a nightmare of regressivity. And we need to remember that. If you want progressive taxation, you want flat taxation or consumption or sales tax, not income tax. Because rich people don't have a shit ton of income necessarily. They've got investments that are growing, and they've got money in the bank to live off of. Might pay nothing in taxes. So everybody needs to listen to me. Yeah, more into govs. More into govs having a low level of agency. I'm 6'5". Communitarianism is the idea that the interests of the individual should be subordinated to the interests of the individual, to the interests of the group. The interests of the individual should be subordinated to the interests of the group. So you see that in like Muslim societies, in China, North Korea, a lot of different places. 6'5". Sales tax depends a lot exactly on what's taxed. Well, if we were to get rid of the horrible federal tax code entirely and replace it with a national sales tax, I think we should all be just fine with them taxing everything the same amount, including food and whatever else. Just it makes everything easy for everybody, right? Just a single flat sales tax on everything. And then you get people who spend more money pay more taxes. It promotes economic health in the country in general, and of course allows economic growth to occur naturally instead of hamstringing it with a bunch of federal interference. So, being smart is the key thing. We have to be real, be honest, be smart. Not know what we want to be the case first and then find arguments that defend that. That's how dumb people do things. We don't want to do things like that. All right, let's go put Drano in the drain. Rachel, you want to come with or stay here?
I'm going to stay here.
Okay. Where are my other little car keys? Must be in the jacket pocket. I'll find my other keys because I don't want to not know where they are. It must be in here. I tested highest TINENITESIFE. Well, I mean, who knows if that test was remotely accurate regarding functions. You shouldn't trust those kind of things. Most people have the concept wrong, so you can't test for something correctly if you have the concept wrong. Well, my keys are not in here. I guess I should take the other keys. I wonder where my keys are later. I mean, they must be here somewhere because I got back in the little wilderness car.
Purse?
They might be. I'll just go like this. They're around here somewhere. Okay, Drano. Well, let's drive over to the car to get the Drano and the Mugities. Yeah, they are regarded. The thing is, you don't have to be smart to be an excellent political mind. All you have to do is listen to Eric and repeat what he says. So, what I blame really, what I should be blaming, is not their stupidity, but their arrogance. Their belief that what they think they should do, regardless of whether it wins the argument. That's civilization destroying arrogance. Nothing good will ever come of that. Because the argument is how I left my keys in the car the whole night. I hope it didn't stop the batteries. No, it didn't. Okay. So yeah, I left the keys in the car, I guess. That's fine. Also left your mom in the car. She seems alright. It's like, I'm doing the job of being correct about everything. All other people need to do is listen to me. Okay, drive over to the car first. So basically, the problem we have in society is that people don't know that we have a way of testing something for correctness that's reliable, and accordingly, people don't think that winning the argument means anything because they can't understand who won the argument usually, because they're not trying to figure out who's correct or what's correct. They're trying to figure out why they're already correct, which they aren't. We'll be separated for 60 seconds or so between the Wi-Fi's. Alright, let's go put the drain in. Drano in. Let's sit for 15 minutes or so. I didn't bring my drill, so I can't install any of these right now. But I guess just want to pour the Drano in. Go back home. I mean, you know, what I'm really kind of putting off today is the pressure washing. Even though it's not that big of a job, I just need to do it. That's alright. I've worked really hard the last week or so, so I could do it tomorrow. Won't kill me. When I get home, I can eat some more of Rachel's leftover mac and cheese. Looking pretty nice in here. Right? Looking pretty good. Here we are in the bathroom. All right. We'll let that sit about 15 minutes. So, maybe not quite that long. seemed to go down pretty good, so it's not that clogged. They did manage to pull a fair amount of hair out of the drain yesterday, but I didn't want to try bringing more water in it because I just cleaned it and I didn't want the dirt to get all over it. So these can go. What do you next to these light bulbs here? Okay. Let's go outside. Do I have my glasses with me? No, really? I don't have my glasses? God damn it, that was dumb. Oh, I'll get this guy's charger right now. He left it here, the photographer guy. But I don't really have anything over here at all, like no tool at all, so I can't even put the plates in the bathroom. I should have grabbed a screwdriver. There was one, I just heard someone talking. Saying something about a handrail. Holding the handrail. Where did I hear that from? That's weird. Maybe it came from the other side of the house? Heard it clear as day. A male voice talking about, well, one bit of it was hold the handrail. Well, that's weird. I don't know. Is that boy Klaus? I remember him. Alright. That'll do. You just get to talk to my chest like we were in real life. So, pretend you're like, I don't know, 4'8" or something. You just go up to here. I think Rachel would go to my nips, so you're that much away from 5'2". But you're looking upward, your neck strained. Oh, let's have a cigarello, let's have a cherry Coke. I mean, a cherry Pepsi. The cherry Pepsi's in the fridge. I believe the cherry Pepsi is our future. This is the choice of a new generation. Only old people drink Coke. Santa lost some weight. I'm not Santa. I bear a passing resemblance to him, I suppose, if you only look at my beard. But I am actually Mrs. Claus. Been horrifically misportrayed in stories and legends. They never mention my beard. And you know what I always want to say to people? I always tell them, I'm gay for Christmas, okay? I'm not gay, I'm gay for Christmas. That's all. That's why I married Santa. I'm actually, all things being equal, probably more likely to buy Coke, but Pepsi's cheaper than I'll buy Pepsi. If it's on sale. These cherry Pepsis are probably on sale before I go. Gay for Christmas, but not gay on Christmas, no. It's like what a lot of people don't know is that Santa's semen tastes like cinnamon frosting. It's to die for. I actually, to be honest, I'm joking. I would not want to be Mrs. Claus or Santa because I don't want Christmas all the time. Now, I could go for 2 weeks of Christmas season. Currently, we got like 2 months of it. Because you got, middle of November to a little bit less than the middle of January. You got Christmas decorations and stuff out. A little less than 2 months. I think it's a little bit too much time for Christmas. It would be better if we all felt like we were rushing to pack Christmas into a short Christmas window. I do live in Mariposa, that's true. And I don't think those are pine trees. Those are cedar trees, I believe. That's a pine tree right here, and this is a pine tree. This is a pine tree, and that one is a pine tree. But those ones over there are cedars. Oh, there's pines behind them. I see what you're looking at. Yeah, there are pines behind them. But the ones in the foreground are cedars. Now it looks like that white line is shooting out of the top of my head. Oh no, my brains are escaping! Your place is so nice. Why the hell you need us? I don't need. Oh, I do need you very badly for lots of reasons. This channel is my identity. This is the house we're selling. This is actually not the house I live in. The house I live in is much nicer than this, frankly. I don't mean to be boasty or anything, but I like the trees and stuff around, but these people have pretty close neighbors. This house has pretty close neighbors. Neighbors right there. Our neighbors are a little further away. And this house is a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. Our house is a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. But despite the fact they're both being 3 bedrooms, our house is a lot bigger, more roomy. And just generally, like, it's nice to have a laundry room with a laundry sink. It's nice to have a couple of spare bedrooms for visitors and stuff. I don't know, I've never lived like this before, so it's only the last couple of years that I have been able to live nice like this. And since my parents died, I inherited their estate. It's taken me a while to get used to it, obviously. But I'm proud of myself for the handle I put on this place inside. It looks super clean. I need to pressure wash the outside of it now. That's the next thing on my list, or the drapes that I didn't put up yet. And then once I get there's a couple last tasks done, I'll finally be done with the work I have to do over here. The plates in the bathroom, the pressure washing, the drapes, and that's it. That's all I got left to do. 3 sets of drapes. It's going to be the most annoying task. Pressure washing, it seems like it's going to be fairly satisfying. Just get all the cobwebs and stuff off. But I hate hanging drape hardware and putting up drapes. It's like we don't have a good solution that is standardized for drapes. All the drapery holding bars, they all sink in the middle. I don't like it. And somebody suggested a good solution to me, which is get wooden dowels cut to size, which I might end up doing, but then I have to replace all well, I just have to get 5 dowels. That won't be that expensive. But I thought, like, oh, it's not going to be that expensive to go to the hardware store today. I got 3 drapery hardwares and 1 bottle of Drano. It's over $50. Granted, I got the expensive, sturdy drapery hardware, but that's because they're kind of heavy drapes, you know? They're the same ones that I have in here. And look, on this one, I had to put this screw thing here because it sank too much in the middle. This one doesn't sink quite as much. If they're like this, but if they're closed, then it sags. So I could get another circle there. I could get wooden dowels for all of them, and then it wouldn't sag like that. Carpet is so clean. Oh my God. I carpet cleaned the fuck out of this carpet. I was like, okay, addy up, Eric. It is time to get some shit done. But I still see like stains and stuff, remnants of stains. I don't want to get the carpet cleaner again and do this again. They're just gonna have to deal with, slightly dirty carpets. Okay, this is showing no sign of any Drano, which means, it's gone well past any clog. Well, I guess I'll let it sit there for another couple of minutes. I don't want to rush it. If you rush Drano, well, it's likely that you'll regret it because you might have to get another bottle of Drano. And if I had been smart and emptied that carpet cleaner outside, I wouldn't have even had to get one bottle of Drano. You have a low baritone voice, Eric. Ever tried ASMR? Not seriously, no. I think I probably have made a joking ASMR video or two. I love when a woman defines herself as a man. You are cool. Thanks. I take it those sentences are completely unrelated to each other. If you actually believe that I'm a woman who calls herself a man, well, I'm pretty sure you picked the wrong stream to try this joke on. It's like, you're clearly one of those people who comes in with a pre-prepared thing to say, hoping that it'll trigger some response. But I respond to pretty much everything everybody says. Most things. When I'm reading the chat and stuff anyway. Mom, not man, Eric. Oh, did it say mom? Oh, I see. So you're saying you like it that Winston's mom is identifying by her status as a mother. I see. I thought it was like, sometimes people come in and say like, hey, I saw you at the gay pride parade the other day. It was great seeing you there. Like that kind of joke, periodically people come in and do this. So figured maybe that's what that was. Okay. So, like a silly boy, I forgot to bring any tool over here at all. Even a little screwdriver, hand screwdriver I could put in the plates in the bathroom. Because I just go put the water in the drain, make the Drano go down all the way, make sure it's flowing smoothly. Then I'll head back home and we'll pick up from there. Every cowboy sings a sad, sad song. Every rose is Bjorn. Baby Bjorn, the new Scandinavian hit that's a marketplace amazement. All right, here we go. Let's try. Well, seems to be not clogged anymore. Seems fine, right? Let me make sure I just wash it all away now. Well, that was easy. I got the cheapest kind of Drano too, so that turned out not to be a very big problem at all. Okay, good. Well, that's a relief that that didn't turn out to be difficult. Not that I expected it to, but you get accustomed to. Okay, Murphy's Law, what do you have for me now? Rachel and I took 2 contractors' bags to the dump today, and this house has 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. It would be pretty crowded in here, I think, if you had like 3 couples staying in here for a vacation. That'd be pretty darn crowded. But I think it's fine for like a room for the parents and 1 room for each of the 2 kids or something. That'd be a good house for that. It's set up for 6 around the table, but I don't know. It seems like a little bit small for 6 people. But once it's not mine, what do I care? Obviously nothing. When I was planning on renting it, I was thinking, if 6 people stay here, they might complain because it's too small, But then if you get 3 couples renting a place like this, they're going for budget, obviously. Let's just stick a deal down your drain because your hair clogs it up. Yeah, like Ruben and Acacia stay here. I think they enjoyed the place as just a couple. I'm not sure if they used the other bedrooms at all, but like the kitchen, dining area, living room is great for 2 people. Maybe a family of 3 or something. 2 parents and an only child. Apparently, only children are getting much more common nowadays. Like when my mom was an only child, I suspect it was very rare for people to, or relatively rare for people to have only children, My mom was born in the late 30s. Back in those agrarian, more agrarian focused days, I think people had larger families. Anyway, plus in the contemporary population explosion, natalism is an understandable perspective to influence people's decisions on that as well. You want to take a quick smoke? Yeah, let's take a quick smoke. But can we wait till we get to the house? I'm going to be separated from you because there will be no internet for about 60 seconds. Then I'll be back in the range of the other Wi-Fi. Until then, I bid you a brief buffering period. I had a double reconnect this time.
Yeah.
I don't know why hell it doesn't do that at the other house. It must have something to do with the fiber internet versus DSML, DSL. There. Clippers beat the Nuggets. It is NBA playoff time, so I don't watch a lot of NBA basketball at all. But if I were going to watch it, playoff time is the time to watch it. I think you're right, says Simple Girl. I think she's right too, Simple Girl, and I don't even know what you guys are talking about. Mon you. Okay. Can a man and woman be friends but still be physically affectionate? Probably not if either of them is in a relationship. If either of them is in a monogamous relationship, then even if it's totally innocent, it's not, because there should be a prioritization of avoiding even the appearance of impropriety. Nom saw? Nom saw. Is it okay that I have a female friend and she has a boyfriend, but sometimes I squeeze her boobs a little bit? No, it's not. She needs to make a decision. I know how to handle a woman's argument. I know how to handle all arguments. I don't argue with Rachel at all. Rachel and I don't argue.
We try not to.
I
I
mean,
don't even think we try not to.
it's hard for me to think of an example of us actually arguing in a
No.
way that like escalates or something.
No.
Certainly not for a long time.
No. It's few and far between.
I mean, I think that the thing is, Alexandre, I think that if you find yourself in a relationship that has a fair amount of conflict, it might be that you just intentionally not designed to be together. It could be neither person's fault. It's just like your values conflict or something because of the cognitive function stack. This is the guy's charger.
Okay.
Let me sit down right there. What other language except English do you know? I know a little bit of Spanish, but I haven't practiced it in a while, so you know. I don't think that I'd be able to have a conversation in it or anything. Rachel was saying earlier that she found it easier to read than to speak. I had the same experience. Gay guy friends are the best. Well, yeah, I think if it's a gay guy and a woman, then perhaps they're going to be a little bit more physically affectionate, but at a certain point, physical affection becomes sexual regardless. So I don't know.
It's tough, you know. It's like there's gotta be boundary. I don't know.
I'm thinking about the issue in terms of for a person who's in a relationship, like a woman who's in a
Yeah.
relationship, and the man, it's obviously determined on a particular risk level. Like if you
Yeah.
know the specific person in the specific situation and it's fine, then it's fine. And if it's questionable, then it's questionable.
Yeah, because
Not much you can
like
say beyond that, I guess.
it's really tough. Like I just, I got when I was with Chris and he would, one of his best friends was female. I was like, all right, that's like you guys have known each other for like a really long time. That's fine. But then like she would confide in Chris things that she like should be talking about with her husband.
Hmm.
And I was like, that's.
Was she married?
Yeah, she was married and like in love with her husband, clearly, but he was a cop and she's a pot smoker and she would smoke, but like he knew, but he.
It was an emotional affair.
Yeah, it was it crossed boundaries for me because I was just like, okay, like she's having like this issue with her husband that she should be bringing up with her husband.
Right. Well, for one thing, you got to protect your significant other's dignity at all times, you know? So you don't want to be sharing stuff about your significant other that maybe doesn't make them look good or makes it look like whatever.
Yeah, yeah. So
The young girl named Sue Dillon, she does pranks for people. She is making a killing. Huh. Good for her. Good for her. Let me look at the old S-Pen and see what's on sports-wise. I know the Athletics come on at 7 or something. Feeling kind of tired, but we could go back over there and put on the plates in the bathroom, and I could put up drapery hardware. Not my favorite job, but something I could do. But maybe, you know what? Maybe today I'm just gonna play around outside instead. I don't know. Mike Patrick, longtime ESPN broadcaster, dies at 30. Oh, he dies at 80. Okay. Voice for 36 years. This is Mike Patrick. That's Dickie V. Well, he was 80 or something like that, so. The Yankees are trailing 3-2 in the top of the 7th. Let's see how my fantasy team's doing. Eric's excellent team. I'm losing currently. But none of my players basically have played yet. I have Shohei on the bench because I put him there for paternity leave and I forgot to take him off the bench.
Oh no.
That's fine. If Brent Rooker does a better job, then fine. Tyler Soderstrom I put on the bench because he struck out a bunch last time. He can't play because Freeman I have it first now. And what has Freeman done so far? Strikeout.
Oh wow. He's having a tough beginning of it.
Uh-oh. 7-day injury list. Luis Alvarez, my second baseman, is hurt.
Oh no.
All right. Okay, well, everybody else is playing, so. None of my pitchers are scheduled to pitch tonight. All right, that's fine. At least I'm winning this one, 27-21 currently. I'm 0-4 with the second team. I'm 1-3 with my main team, Eric's excellent team. Neither of them is performing well yet.
It's hard. Yeah, it is a long season.
Just wait till the A's really start clicking. We got kind of A's heavy teams. Yosemite shutters popular backpacking campground without warning. Okay.
What does that mean? Shutters.
It means you can't go there anymore.
Oh.
Presumably has to do with cuts Trump's making it the national forest and stuff.
Yeah.
I would guess it has to do with that.
Yeah, I think so too. They were. I know. Like, I read that like newspaper on the table, and it was saying that Yosemite was up in the air about what was going to happen with it, depending on what happens in the White House.
Florida man threatens to shoot 7-year-old black girl trying to sell him candy. Oh my God. That's crazy.
7-year-old just trying to sell candy.
Florida's got weird relationship with guns. Like, you know, Texas is certainly pro Second Amendment, but I tend to feel like Texans I trust with guns. Floridians, I'm not sure I do.
I know. For some reason.
Yeah. They've got their stand your ground law. It's like, so there's a portion of that state that seems very interested in shooting people. Let's see. So she rang the doorbell and he said, "Go away or I'll shoot you," or what? Oh my God.
Wow. Oh my God.
Why would he put that?
Wow.
Wow.
Oh my God.
And this is a crazy thing to post to social media, right?
Yeah, it really is. Ew.
That's
Ew.
gross. Hot dogs with raviolis on them, huh? weenie olies for somebody else. Where's the stream? Bring it up here so I can see the chat better. I'll probably wrap this stream up actually. I think maybe I'll play around and hold that back, put on some shoes.
Hi, Iron Lion.
So, hi, Galit, Nugroho. Hi. It's like you could put your name backwards and it would still sound the same level of like a name. You're either Galil, Nugroho, or Ohorg Hillag. Either way, they sound like backward names.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll see you all later. Thanks for being here, and peace.